Hey Fly Tyers, welcome to AvidMax Tying Tuesday. Hope you're all doing well, staying safe, getting lots of flies tied right now, filling the boxes for those summer months to come. Today we're going to tie a pattern that I've had living in my box for a while now. This is Coq De Leon Fluorescent Nymph. I call it the CDL Fluorescent Nymph, utilizing the Tiemco 2488 hook. And then there's a couple of main aspects to this fly. The first one being the Veevus 16-aught threads, the fluorescent options from them. They have 3 different color options. There's the green, the fluorescent orange, and the chartreuse. And so it makes for three excellent variations of this pattern in partnership with the Coq De Leon, the medium Pardo that I'm using today, and then just a little bit of SLF Dave Whitlock dubbing. So we're going to start out getting our thread on our hook with some quick locking wraps, just like so. Tying a size 16 today. I usually do this in 18s and 20s. The 16 can be really effective as well though. And you can tie it all the way down to a 24 if you're able. So we're going to grab our tailing materials here, and I'm going to pull these off of the feather. I'm going to try and keep them aligned while I do so. The tips aligned, that is. We have about 8 to 10 fibers for the tail, and we're going to tie that in a typical length, about the shank of the overall hook here. It's a little long, so let's snug it on back just slightly. Until we get to where we want to be. I'm going to work a little ways down the hook shank. And then I like to sneak a couple of wraps because it's a slick material underneath the tail to help keep it nice and propped up there. And then we can clip out that excess. And if you had a long enough bundle, you could use that for the next step. I'm going to need some longer fibers here. This is going to be our body wrapping. So we'll do another 10 or so fibers off of the feather. Just like so, and then I'm going to clip the tips off to make sure they're all nicely aligned, and then we can secure that right on the side. Just like so. So we'll walk on up, creating a nice smooth profile transition. Might go back and back up once here just to add a little bit to it, and then we can half hitch and bring that material forward. So for this, the first thing I'm going to do is twist it up just slightly to get a rope-like material out of it, and that's really just for the first couple of wraps. We'll twist it there, and then I'm going to grab it with my hackle pliers to help make life easy. Pull them a little tighter. I got one that's not part of the bundle. There we go. So the first couple of wraps, you want to keep it twisted just right on the back end there. But then as you go forward, I tend to let it flatten out to cover up all those thread wraps. This gives a really nice natural look with kind of an underlining UV pop to it. So I like it, and I kind of developed it to help have a realistic pattern on cloudier days when you don't have a lot of sunlight penetration, kind of lighting bugs up. But then at the same time, on sunny days you can fish the same pattern, and that fluorescent thread really kind of pops and shines through what is somewhat of a translucent material of the Coq De Leon. So we'll go ahead and clip that out. get ready for the next step here, which is going to be the backing. And again, it's the same material, just the Coq De Leon. That's the name of the fly. Do a healthy bundle similar to what we've been doing, maybe a few extra. Don't have to worry about keeping them aligned this time. And we want to use the thicker end, so I'm going to clip off the back end of the barbels and just use the thicker end here to tie in as my backing, right on top. And we'll work back just a little ways to almost that halfway point on that shank, and then we'll cover that all up nicely and prepare to dub out our thorax, which is going to be that Dave Whitlock SLF blend. This is the Squirrel Olive I'm using on the BWO version. Like I said, I tie this in 3 different color options. The BWO here using the fluorescent green. I use the fluorescent orange as more of an attractor, and then the chartreuse is a good PMD imitation for me. Don't need too much dubbing here, just want to cover up and create that under thorax. And make sure you leave yourself a little bit of room up front because we have a couple more steps to go. Just like so. Like I said, I'm going to leave almost a hook eye, maybe half a hook eye up front to pull this material straight flat over the top. You can kind of flatten it out with your finger so you're covering the whole top part of the fly. And do a couple in front, or a couple on top, and then at least 1 or 2 in front to help keep that nice and secure. And clip that out. Excess material. Could fish it like this. There are points when I've tied them like this and left them without the legs that we're going to add here. Similar to a WD-40 really. But we are going to add some legs just to elevate it a little bit, I suppose. So again, Coq De Leon, just a few fibers, 4 or 5 on each side here. And again, I like to try and keep the tips aligned for this part. So I'm gonna go a little bit long compared to other patterns. Just like a nice leggy, buggy look to this. So you can always tie it in super long and then pull those fibers kind of back down to where you want them. And if you lay them flat against the shank there, you can get an idea of how long they are. That's an easy way to compare the other side to see if you're consistent or not. Something like that. Do a nice securing wrap in front. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So again, just a few fibers lined up, and this is where I'll kind of flatten out the other side to try and gauge where I'm going to tie those in. Do a couple of wraps on it, make sure that's where you want it. A little short. There we go. And then 1 out front to secure it, and then we can trim that out. And keep that on the side. There we go. And then all you gotta do is give it a whip finish. It's been a great fly for me. I'll fish it in a lot of different situations, in different rig types, whether it be the lightweight pattern on my Euro rig with some anchor flies to get it down, you know, a more traditional nymph rig or a drop shop rig. I tend to fish this one a little bit deeper just because it is a nymphal stage for me. Wouldn't doubt the fish will take it higher in the column as well. But it really pops when it gets that sunlight on it as well. So tie some up and it'll bring you some success, I promise.